Everything shakes, inside and out. What once seemed steady begins to vibrate, as if the world itself were breathing differently. For a moment, you can sense something invisible moving beneath reality. The chaos that once sounded like outside noise now echoes in your chest, like an ancient language trying to be understood. You feel the ground trembling in your soul, not because the world is collapsing, but because something inside you is awakening. What looks like collapse is actually a calling. Life isn't trying to destroy you, it's trying to wake you up. The trembling doesn't come as punishment, but as a reminder, a call to break the silence of emotions that have been asleep for too long. And no matter how hard you try to hold on to what once was, the weight of resistance hurts more than the fear of letting go. Something inside you is asking for space. Something inside you whispers, "Wake up." The movement passing through you now is the breakdown of old identities. Everything that was held together by fear, duty, or need begins to crack, as if the structure that once kept you standing can no longer contain the size of your soul. What's shaking isn't you, it's the shell of who you once believed you were. The persona that used to please and belong no longer fits in your body. The collapse you fear is actually the beginning of expansion. It's not a loss of control, it's freedom from the illusion that you ever had control over what was never yours. The trembling is the announcement that truth wants to be born, while the mind, afraid of the unknown, tries to contain the inevitable awakening. Confusion appears, anxiety rises, emotions surge, and you think you're going backward. But your soul knows it's the opposite. The pain that comes back is memory, the emotion that overflows is the release of what's been trapped for too long. It's your body cleansing the layers of your story. This emotional trembling is the bridge between who you were and who you're about to become. Crossing it takes courage, not the courage of a warrior who fights, but the courage of a being who surrenders. Vulnerability is the portal. And when you walk through it, you realize you're not breaking, you're being remade in another frequency. The spiritual origin of this process comes from the distance between your truth and the character you've been playing. The greater that distance becomes, the more your body protests. The heart tightens, the mind spins, and life seems to push you to your limits. These are subtle alarms. The universe doesn't punish, it realigns. It removes what's false, dissolves bonds that shrink you, and breaks apart the stories that once sustained an exhausted identity. The trembling is your soul's recalibration. It's not the end. It's repositioning, the old ground giving way to a new vibration that's ready to emerge. Imagine solid ground on the surface but shifting beneath it. For years you've walked on it, believing it was steady, until one day, the underground begins to stir. That's what you're feeling now, the deep layers moving to release what's been trapped. Just as the earth needs to breathe, your soul needs to expand. The inner earthquake doesn't come to destroy but to reorganize. It releases energy that's been held for years and invites you to rebuild on truthful foundations. Stability isn't lost, it simply changes location, moving from the ground beneath you to the core within you. Think of an old house, built in a time of fear and scarcity. It protected you, but it also confined you. Today, the cracks are showing as reminders, it's time to leave. Each fracture is an invitation to let go of the walls that have kept you small. The old structure falling apart is not a threat, it's liberation. Your soul no longer fits inside the space that fear once built. And if you look with honest eyes, you'll see that the cracks are not chasing you, they're guiding you. They show you where you made yourself smaller to fit in, where you pretended to be comfortable because you were afraid to move on. They point you toward your own expansion. And if you want to look even deeper, imagine yourself as a seed. The shell breaks and the pain feels like destruction, but it's actually birth. The rupture is simply the overflow of life pushing against its limits. The same happens with consciousness. Your inner expansion presses against everything that still tries to keep you small. The old breaks apart not because it failed, but because the new has grown too much to stay contained. The mind calls it an ending, but the soul recognizes it as a beginning. And in that instant, when everything falls away, it's the new self breathing for the first time. Every spiritual crossing moves through this threshold, the space between what used to be and what has not yet taken form. It's the territory of the unknown, where everything feels unstable. You are no longer who you were, but you don't yet know who you will become. And while everything trembles, the soul simply watches, patient. It doesn't want you to preserve a false sense of balance, it wants you to wake up. The trembling is the prelude to revelation. Each vibration announces the birth of a wider awareness, a self that finally aligns with your truth. When your inner world shifts, the masks fall. Old roles lose their meaning. Bonds built on fear dissolve. Everything that once felt heavy begins to fade. This is purification. The universe is clearing space for the new to take its place. And although it feels like you're losing everything, you're actually only losing what kept you separated from yourself. The collapse is realignment. The chaos is the field reorganizing into a new order. So when everything shakes, don't fight the movement. Breathe through it. Surrender to the process. This surrender is not giving up, it's opening. Opening space to feel, to listen, to recognize that pain is simply the soul's voice asking to come through. The new does not arise from control, but from allowing. Breathe with the trembling, not against it. Wisdom lives exactly where you are afraid to fall apart. And as the shaking softens, clarity begins to appear, not like an explosion, but like dawn. Gentle. Quiet. Inevitable. Choices become simple. Misaligned relationships fall away on their own. What remains is what matches your true shape. And you realize that nothing that collapsed was ever really yours. The new you walks without rushing, because there is nothing left to prove. What once felt like effort now feels like flow. When you look back, you understand, the trembling was love. Love from existence itself, pushing you out of the walls you once built around yourself. Every loss was liberation. Every tear, purification. The collapse didn't destroy you, it brought you back to what is essential. If everything still trembles right now, don't rush to rebuild. Breathe. Allow it. What is falling apart is not your life, it's your limitation. The shaking is your soul calling you, with both tenderness and power, wake up. You are not falling. You are being reminded. You are being guided back to your center. When everything trembles, it's because something greater wants to be born, and that something greater is you. If this message reached you at the right moment, stay here with me. Subscribe to the Soul Awakening channel, turn on the notifications, and share this vibration with anyone who also feels the call. May every soul that hears this message remember, the trembling is not the end, it is the beginning of awakening.